Welcome to the Collective Genius Podcast, the show for real estate investors who are looking to scale.
Welcome back into the live Collective Genius Podcast. I am Leon. And from our Q3 event, the Collective Genius CEO and CG Premier events, we have had now a day and a half, almost 2 days of great presentations, great connections, and opportunities for everyone in the room to get better. And thankfully, the man to my right, he and his team, we'll get to that in a second, just presented on stage as a part of our track system that we do here at usually on day 2. Let me, without further ado, welcome in Mr. Santini Lancioni from New Jersey. Welcome in. Not their first time on the CG Pod, but the first time on a live CG Pod. Welcome.
Thank you, man. Am I the first one to be on twice?
No.
No. Okay.
Second, maybe.
Second,
but
okay.
I'm
honored,
your,
man. I'm honored.
I like
to be
your
on.
enthusiasm of like, hey, am I the first one? I think the first to do double duty was Jimmy Vreeland.
Okay.
Yes, I think he was the first one.
Yeah.
But you're in good company there.
Love it, man.
Yes,
Appreciate you having me on, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I want to talk about this real quick because I know that scale is the word that I see the most on application from real estate entrepreneurs. I see on the application, I want to scale, I want to grow, I want to grow. And we all know scale means something different to everyone. But we all also know that scale generally doesn't happen without people. Mm-hmm. And I'm most proud when I see our members level up their team to a point where you were scheduled to do a track presentation, specifically today on leads and relationships and the amount of business that you've gotten from relationship leads. And right before the presentation, you were scheduled to go up with your CEO. You said, nope, this is his opportunity. He's going to shine on this. And Jesse not only shined, he knocked it out of the park. So congratulations to you, man. That's got to make you proud to see your young COO
Absolutely
take that step. He crushed it.
Yeah, he is. He's always been a rock star for our company, and I get a lot of the credit, but we don't get to where we're at without guys like Jesse. So I thought, I presented probably 6 or 7 times, did one main stage presentation. So I thought this was a great opportunity for him to get up there. It's very nerve-wracking getting in front of your peers. Mm-hmm. A lot of guys in the group are doing a lot more business than us. So for him to get up there, make an awesome presentation, especially without me this time, I thought that was great for his development. Mm-hmm. And it's only going to help our business get better, but also give him some of the credit he deserves.
So many ways I can go with this, but I'm going to start with a reply to having your COO present on something that they didn't necessarily agree with you on. Talk mm-hmm. about that before we get too deep in what the actual presentation was about. He said from main stage that this was something I wasn't on board with. Now think about that. You got a visionary and you got a COO, and they're clashing on the ideas. And Santini, as the visionary, said, no, this is a strategy that we're going to implement. And the COO said, I understand that's what I have to do. And thankfully he did. He came around, and because it resulted in a big result for your business overall on an annual basis, projected this year. It was a phenomenal number. But before we get too deep into that, how did that make you feel? Like you had this, you turned him around on this concept and it worked out.
It was great. I mean, back in November last year, we butted heads about the way we were going about marketing to actually wholesalers and agents, and the way we were trying to get deals in. Mm-hmm. And I was given some of the wholesalers in our market, a lot of the data that we use, some of the direct mail secrets or whatever. So I think he was a little hesitant at the time, like, all right, this may hurt us because they're going to take leads. And I said, Jesse, all this stuff is out there. Like literally you can go on YouTube, you could join Collective Genius, you could talk to other guys in other markets. So none of this stuff is a secret anymore. So I was like, why don't we just help these guys? It'll actually speed up their growth, and in return, we'll get deals from it. And it's actually worked out perfectly this year. Last I looked, we've done probably 185 deals from outside of our marketing,
Wow.
which is, think about it, the marketing cost is really low on those. I mean, so we have a social media manager, and then we have a lot of time from my end and a couple other guys that are just out there working relationships, being intentional about helping other people hit their goals. In return, grows our business and brings us deals. But I think it was an eye-opener for him to see basically a 10 to 12-month window of results that we put in place.
So you mentioned a couple different times the growth, of the business, growth of Jesse. There's been a lot of growth from you as well. I've witnessed it in the time that you've been a member here. I remember text messages and phone calls as, for whatever reason, I've had this conversation with you. New Jersey was a market, when I started in this role, we very rarely received applications from. And if we did, it was usually North Jersey. It was across the river from Manhattan, right? It was North Jersey, a lot of development, a lot of construction. Very rarely did we see anything from South Jersey. And if we did, it was Philly that bought in to South Jersey, right? And then all of a sudden, there were a few people, including yourself, that I was introduced to from, I think, the Philly members. And I just remember you going, how many are we going to let in South Jersey? And you guys all knew each other. And I remember you at the time going, man, I feel like we're not going to get, the full value of CG because of all these other South Jersey members. And now here you are teaching your competition on what makes you successful. When did that click for you?
Well, I think we had to change the way we thought about doing business because, like you said, you let in, there was probably like 5 or 6 CG members that had all of now the marketing secrets, all of the operations, all the vendors. So we lost our competitive advantage when it comes to direct to seller. So I think we had to play a little chess. It's like, all right, well, why don't we figure out a way to really help the market grow, help and be the leader at collaboration. And it kind of happened organically, but I really think we almost hit like a panic button. Like we gotta improve in other areas like construction, raising capital, and it just forced us to get better. And one of the things Eric Brewer said to me when we had a 15-minute call, I remember he was going to the airport. I'm like, Eric, I need like 10 minutes of your time. I was like, there's someone that you guys are letting, I'm like the final stop. You guys said you get the final decision to let this guy in the group. And I called Eric and got his advice, and he said, Santini, it's only going to make you better if you let these guys in your market. He's like, it's going to push you to get better. You guys have to get more dialed in. And I would say let them in to the market or let them into the CG. And I took his advice, let them in. And at that time, I think we were doing like $3 million a year. That year, we went to $6.5 million. So we basically doubled our business, thinking way more creatively, working more with these guys. And that was an eye-opener. More competition actually is helping our business. So it's a good thing.
I've seen it. It doesn't seem like that would be the case. But because I've seen it so often, people don't always believe me when I say collaboration over competition. What I have seen the evolution of, especially the premier level group, I've seen the evolution of the old way of thinking of, I got to keep everybody out. This is my, when there was this territory exclusivity when CG started 15 years ago, it was super important because there weren't a lot of coaches. There weren't YouTube podcasts like this that were sharing information. And so I get it. Territory, it gave you at least a 1 to 2 year head start on a lot of your competition, what you're learning in this room. I get that. What I've seen, though, over the years is people realize what you just said earlier is the information is available, but the execution of said information and how you implement it is obviously the difference between you and your competition. And there's no reason that you can't collaborate, because in markets like South Jersey or any market, and I don't care how small it is, there's enough deals to go around for, the strongest will always survive. And what I've seen from that, the result of that is a more confident collaborative group. Collaborative in the way that they go, you know what? I'll share everything because I don't fear competition anymore. There's this change, this mindset change. If I'm no longer fearful,
Yep.
I'm not cocky, but I'm confident in my abilities to execute at a higher level than that operator.
Mm-hmm.
Then that's a change that I'm so thankful for, because it makes for a much better collaborative meeting.
Sure.
When you are doing this and holding all your secrets with someone that you're talking to in the room that's in your market, it's an awkward conversation.
Absolutely.
Because you're holding back.
Yeah.
Now you can say, what do you want?
Yep.
I'll tell you everything. I'll give you everything. And there are going to be some deals that you maybe lose. But I promise you, more often than not, you make more. In your particular case, you're a great example of that. You end up making more, and you're happier because you're not having these weird conversations with people.
Sure.
Or stressful conversations of, did I tell them too much?
Right,
Did I
exactly.
not give them enough? How did I come across? It's just, you can just be you.
Absolutely. And honestly, even if you get all the information, it's so difficult to integrate and implement into your business. So I think the secret sauce really is the people in your business, the quality of people and the development of everyone. So that's why Collective Genius has been instrumental to the growth of our company, because I have 3 other guys here from our company, and I got our sales manager, I got our COO, I have our marketing director. We're literally in all different rooms right now. Like, we're all getting better. We're all developing. We're all networking in different rooms and going to dinners with different people. And that's the true value of Collective Genius, is we improve our people. We go back to the market. And if you have that collaborative mindset, and you have these guys that are very focused and consistent and the best, I think, in the market, I mean, you can't lose. You're going to ride any type of market wave. We'll adjust, but the quality of people is the secret sauce. And being in groups like this is really what separates you from everyone in your market.
Yeah, I love that. You've taken it to the next level. We've said that, where we have really made the biggest strides over the last few years is tiering, the groups, obviously. And then also making sure that we have calls set up and as many employees, executive level employees, as we possibly can, because what you just said, because they're going to potentially interpret something different than the way that you interpret it, right?
Yep.
And bring back another, they pick up an idea that they say, hey, you weren't in the room for this. This is something I want to try. Or they had a different conversation, right?
Yep.
So quick, last couple things here. Give us a little bit more on what the presentation was about today. We do tracks at our events. These tracks are, let's say you have marketing figured out. Well, you can go to a construction room. Let's say you have construction figured out. You can go to a financial room. So you don't have to be in a room with a presentation that you may get value from, but isn't your concern right now. So your particular presentation that the 2 of you did, Jesse presented from main stage today, was on leads, specifically on relationship leads, correct?
Yep. So how we capitalize on relationship leads and what you got to gear up in order to be successful in this niche. Now, the bonus is there's really no marketing costs when it comes to buying a lead or getting a lead off of an agent, purchasing the house. The 2 things we really wanted to emphasize was you have to raise a lot of capital or have money, and you have to really dial in your construction and put out a good product, because if you could showcase a good flip, agents now are more inclined to bring you the deal because they get the listing back. They know that you're going to do the project in a timely manner and put out a good product. So it's important that you have those 2 things dialed in if you're going to be buying from sources like agents and wholesalers. I think the first phase of our business was going direct to seller, and you always have that strategy of wholesaling the deal. When you're buying from these external sources, lead sources, you can't wholesale. You have to flip these houses. So it's a different business model. That's why I said it forced us to get better. It forced us to learn about the market, really get dialed in on how local, or the local market, really becoming an expert there, because we are flipping these houses. We have to make sure that we're making money on these. They're big risks. So that was what we touched on in the presentation. And then really the structure of your organization and how you can do this systematically without it being so chaotic all the time. I think it's important that you have a plan, that you reach out to agents and you have a cadence to these relationships and bring value. I mean, it really comes down to making sure that they accomplish their goals, because then in return you'll be able to hit yours.
There's something about educating equaling dominating. Like there's just something that when you are willing to share information, the meetups that you guys do in your market, everyone, every time you post about it, everyone looks like they're having a blast at your events.
So much fun.
Yeah, you've made it fun.
Yep.
People don't feel like they're, in the room with a bunch of snakes that are going to steal their deals. I mean, you've really built a community there, and in turn, like you said, it's made you better and obviously made you your business more money than you've made in the past.
Sure.
Takeaways. I mean, you are always really good. I know your team's got a bunch of takeaways in there for you. Any takeaways through the day and a half that we've been here in Dallas?
Really inspired by Damon West, his keynote speech. I thought that was an eye-opener about how valuable your time is, and to make sure that you're not taking it for granted. Someone that he was in prison for 7 years and lost literally the prime years of his life over drugs, and he had everything you can imagine, every advantage a young man would want, and to throw that away. But make that his comeback story, and now being a keynote speaker was pretty incredible to see how you could bounce back and recover and really, rewrite your legacy. I love that. So just really inspired by that. Seeing other businesses, it's always good to see, like the two young guys that just presented about hiring athletes. Like that was awesome. I love seeing the way they go about recruiting, and there's a certain avatar they're looking for into bringing to their organization. It's truly an athlete, and you're going to get the most competitive people when you recruit them. You're going to have some big personalities as well.
Sure.
But if it works for them, they have the time to manage those quality of people. And we have a couple athletes as well. But it's just like a reminder, like, hey, look for these type of people when recruiting, because they're going to make huge impacts. And the last thing I'll follow up with, too, is when we build these presentations out, it reminds you of, like, little things that we need to dial in. So I'm probably the most competitive person, or one of the most in this group. But for me to switch that mindset and now become so collaborative in our market, and actually giving up some leverage to other competitors and having every situation a win-win, I think it goes to show you, like, you can change. Like,
yes.
At my age and having success and still being able to change my mindset and being humble enough to help other people, that's what's going to take you to that next level and to honestly an area that I never thought I can get to and hit numbers that never expect. So
you've had an open mind, and it's your story you've written another chapter. You've evolved, and the story continues to get better. Hopefully we all leave that type of legacy where our books are not just one chapter novels, right?
Yep, exactly.
I've seen the growth, and a lot of that has just become from understanding that you can't do it alone. And you've also opened your mind to being a coffee bean, the change agent. The reason that story resonated with you so much is because you are the bean in the hot water.
Sure.
Look at what you've created in South Jersey. You've created a community. So you didn't let competition harden you like the hard-boiled egg in the reference that Damon used. You didn't let the competition make you soft and go, oh, I'm just going to give up. You said, what am I going to do? I'm going to change the environment and change my mindset. And ultimately, it made the water. Coffee's good, right? Yep. And so people like it.
Yep.
People like, and again, it goes back to looking at your market. And every time I see pictures of your events, everyone is having a blast. You do these things where people dress up, and it just,
sure.
You are the coffee bean. That's why it's resonated with you. That's why it resonated, in my opinion, so much yesterday. Yeah. The last thing I'll ask you is, at every event, we know the lifeblood of this organization is new talent. Has there been anyone new, not new member, but a new person maybe that you've had a conversation with that made an impact on you?
I met some local CG members from North Jersey. They do some new builds.
First event.
Yeah. So it was good talking to them and just getting their mindset. I took the approach of really just guiding them, like, through what I've learned through CG. So I think I'm at the phase now of being, I think, almost 5 years in, or four and a half. Just like, how can I help them? I feel like if you could help others, eventually you'll be able to see what and they have a secret sauce too, where you can learn from
Yeah.
them. But I think if you always got to take that approach, what can I do for you? And you'll end up winning at the end of the day. But one other thing I got from this event that I didn't bring up, dinner last night, right, with Anthony Tolliver, a former NBA player, and just hearing his story about how he's always been a role player from high school to college to the NBA, and how it prepared him. And I think that's a story that I'm going to tell my team, like share it with them. Like, you don't always have to be the number one guy to have such a successful career, such an amazing impact. And, just that mindset he has. Like, he was literally not even drafted. 20th man on the team, and he was picked up by other teams to start his career. So I was very inspired by Tolliver's story, and hopefully he can end up being on a keynote one day. But
we'll get him on
incredible.
the stage for sure. That's isn't it? As two basketball players, isn't it funny to think that a guy that was 6'8" has never been the first option on his team?
Incredible.
Hearing him say that last night, here's a guy that played 13 years in the NBA. And he's never the first option on his team at 6'8" and an unbelievable shooter. That's crazy to think, but you could also look at that from the standpoint of if it were him and he was never the first option, he could have just said, you know what, he could have been bitter about that.
Sure.
Right? He could have become that hard-boiled egg that was hardened. His heart was hardened because he said, you know what, I'm not I'm better than, what they think I am. Instead, he just accepted.
He bought in.
The role, everything they told him, hey, if you do these things, you'll play a long time in the NBA. And he just focused on those things.
Incredible. He accepted it. And I love the analogy when we were talking about Kobe Bryant. And he said there's guys in the NBA that like what they do, they love what they do, and then there's guys like Kobe who live what they do.
That's right.
And that resonated with me too, because as an owner, I get so hung up in our business. And I'm in between, like I probably live what I do, honestly. That's how much I care about it. But knowing your staff, like not everyone's going to live their business. Like you got to accept that they might love it or they might like it. Right. And obviously, depending on where they're at, this level of success will come. But that's the way human nature is. And to see that we're talking to someone who played 13 years and he loved being a player, but he didn't live it, and he had admitted that, a lot of humility from him.
Well, he understood his role. That's why that presentation will resonate with business owners. And Eric and I were talking about this last night after that conversation. Knowing your role doesn't mean that you're the lowest person on the totem pole, right? A role is just that. A role could be the CEO that is a leader. A role could be doing your job as a TC, but doing it to your best of your ability. Being a role player doesn't mean that you can't be a star in that role.
100%.
Right?
Yeah.
It just means that you play your role for that particular team. And I felt like that is the concept he got the most. On some teams, he needed to score a little bit more. On some teams, he needed to defend a little bit more. We all, again, going back to what we started this with, scale means something different to everyone, but you can't scale unless you have good people, especially those that you as a leader have defined their role. So they know every day when they come in, they may not live it, but you help them love it. And maybe they like it and help you get to love it because they understand today their role was important. That's the biggest takeaway I took from that.
Love it, man.
Yes. Thank you, as always, for being on the pod, my friend. This is the live Collective Genius podcast from our Q3 event here in Dallas, Texas. That is Santini. Santini is going to go back into the room. We've got another day here at the Collective Genius, half a day here. So another full day, half a day today and another half a day tomorrow. We've got another live pod coming up for you. Santini, thank you so much for joining us. We will see you on the next live Collective Genius podcast.
Appreciate you.